Okay. So I mean, you could do, you know, any of the layers you want in your map, but I think that one of the easier ones maybe to show would be, I mean, I just like, you know, closed out all the other layers I had to make it a little bit less kind of cluttered, but I've just got that, the LAI TIFF that was LAI that I generated. I think I'd sent you guys. If you have that. Put that. No, let me move it. I hate it when it, how do you minimize? I hate some of these zoom controls, just annoying. So if you've got this, let me see. Let's do it this way. I've got it up here twice. So once you've got this LAI layer, if you right click and you go to the symbology, because if you just open it up, it might just be grayscale. So we want to make sure, you know, to give it some pretty color scale. So just go into symbology and make sure that you have it as a stretch and some kind of color ramp. So just let me know when you've got that loaded. Yeah. And this is all, again, laid out under, it's in ArcGIS Notes Lecture 10 on the Google folder. And I also did figure out how to get a polygon around the depth points so that we could use that to cut our DEM. And I put the instructions on last week's notes. We could take a quick look today as well if you guys want to. So you've got your map, you've got your layers on and everything, you know, you're happy with your analysis. Now you want to make a map to put in your manuscript. So they call these, if you go to insert, it's called a layout. So you want to click on a new layout. And then it gives you, you know, you could choose a size. And I always just choose letter. And you can change the size. Once you've made it, you can always make it bigger. You can do a custom page size. I just find it easier just to do like letter, but it doesn't matter. You can choose whichever you want. And this gives you, you know, a new tab up the top. So you should have your map. You might have your catalog tab up there. This is my Jupyter notebook tab because I'm testing Python stuff out. And now you've got your layout tab. And this initially will give you a blank piece of paper. And now you need to add your map to this layout. So you go up here and you want a map frame. And you want to put a new map frame on your layout. So this is all the terminology. They changed the terminology from ArcMap to ArcPro, and it took me a while to figure out how to do all this again. So you go to map frame, and then you can pick the map that you want to go on your layout. So we only have one map tab right now, so it's only going to come up with, you know, one. But if you had multiple different maps that you had made, you will go in and choose the one that you want. So I'm going to choose my map, and I want it to have the scaling that I have it when I was visualizing it in the other tab. So you just click on it, and then now your cursor is a little crosshair. And so, you know, you just left click where you want the top of your, you know, frame or the, you know, picture to be, and just draw yourself a box. And it's going to place your map in that box that you just drew. And when you do that, you'll see all the layers that are in your map frame appear in the contents part in your layout. And it's all the stuff that you have open over here. This is my map, right? It's all the stuff that I have open in my map is now also referenced in my layout. So you could turn things on and off from here if you want to. I can uncheck that and my LAI goes away, put it back on. So you can change if you want to, you can change the size of this box once you've drawn it. You know, if you decide that, oh, actually I need, you know, a square shape or a rectangle shape or whatever you do. If you want to, if you decided that you wanted to zoom in a bit more on this, you have to make sure you're in layout and you have to activate your map. So before, if you haven't activated your map, then anything that you do, like if I use my mouse, it's not changing the scale of the map, it's just zooming me in onto my layout. So if I decided that actually I need to be a little bit more zoomed in, you just have to activate it first, you know, and then I can zoom in on my map. So if you do want to change the scaling or something, you just need to go in and make sure you've activated it. And then when you've zoomed in or zoomed out, made those changes, make sure you go back and you close. So the tab is activated map frame and just close it. And that then means if you do, like, you know, scroll your mouse or something, you're not accidentally changing the scaling here. It's just going to pull you in on the layout, if that makes sense.
I don't have, well, where's I mean, I see activate on your screen, but I don't have activate on.
So you should be in
mine.
the layout tab.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
And then you don't see this activate over here?
Mine looks, I think maybe I'm.
Do you want to share?
Yeah, mine, I think I probably just am one click away from it. It's just my toolbar looks a lot different than yours.
Yeah, so go to the, you see you got project at the top, go to layout.
Oh, okay. I thought this is what you meant when I just thought you meant make sure you're on the layout and not map. Got it.
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, there's like Perfect. The layout tab on the ribbon and then there's the layout. Yeah. I'm not sure how to reference, sorry, I'm pointing to something you guys can't see now. I guess I'm not sure what to call this. Is this a tab and this is also a tab, or has this got like a different name? You know? Like, yeah, but that, yeah, it's a terminology thing, sorry. And I've got the blue spinning thing down here, so it's still redrawing my stuff for me.
And then are you going over legends and scale bars and stuff too? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I was just waiting. I was hoping mine would catch up, and I was also trying to like minimize this stupid bar thing that I really hate. But sometimes, like, oh, I'm just gonna bring it onto this. Come on, onto this page. It's not in the way. Okay. Yeah, just waiting for my drawing to catch up here. So yeah, so the next thing to do would be to make a legend. And so want to go to insert up the top here. And then this is all the things that you can, you know, insert. So you can insert a north arrow, scale bar, a legend. I haven't done this, but you could put a chart in there as well if you needed to overlay a chart on your map. I also haven't done this either, but I guess you could have a table that's like point data or something that you've already got in there. You could add, you know, boxes, squiggly lines if you want to draw on it, stuff like that. So we're going to go to legend. So click on legend. And then again, your mouse will become a crosshair. So just draw a box where you want the legend to be. And you can move the legend afterwards, or you can change the size so it's not like, you know, the size you draw right now is what you have to stick with for the rest of eternity, but just, you know, draw a box. Oh, mine's being so slow to update. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to wait for mine to catch up. I don't know if it has a trouble because I'm doing all the video stuff at the same time and it's using the same, trying to use the same graphics card or something. But if yours is up to speed, what you should see in that box is you'll start to see all the legend elements appear for everything that every layer that is currently switched on in your map. So I have to wait for mine to.
It's kind of just, mine's like the legend, you can make the box bigger, but it doesn't make the legend bigger. I'm sure you'll probably get to that, but.
Yeah, do you mean it doesn't make the text bigger?
No, the legend itself, I can drag I inserted a legend and I can drag the box as big as I want, but the legend just stays small. But I'm guessing you just have to go in and edit that in the legend settings or something.
Yeah, let me see if, okay, I've turned off the RGB because that seems to be causing some trouble. Let me see if I turn it on, whether it will catch up quickly or not. Okay, so you can see my legend down here. The layers I have switched on in my map right now are my LAI layer and the RGB layer. And so that's what's coming up in my legend. It's got the color ramp for LAI, and then it's got a legend for the RGB. And so we're going to go in and just look at how you can change the legend, and that you can remove, you know, things you don't want. You can remove the legend for layers that you want switched on, but you don't want the legend for. Actually, if you go up here to your contents page, you'll now see that you've got an item that's called legend. And if you click the little arrow next to it to expand it, in this legend are all the things that it's going to include in your legend. So I don't want a legend for the RGB image, so I'm just going to unselect that. And my inverse distance weighting, and I've got 2 LAI layers in there as well, so it should catch up. Yeah, I'm just gonna turn off my underlying layer because it's causing it to slow down. But just imagine that I've still got my RGB image. So what you want to do is you could turn things on and off in your legend. That doesn't remove the layer from your map. Turning things off in your map frame removes things from your map. So you'll see that I turned off my the 8-band image, and now the only thing I've got here in my legend is the LAI legend. So you can either right-click and properties from the legend part up here in layout, or you can just double-click on the legend itself. And then you get this side bar with all the things you can change. So there's a lot that you can go in and change up. So I've got on the notes, I've just got some of the main things you might want to change, but essentially I would go in and just press all the buttons and see what you can change with stuff. So the first thing, common things to change would be the font. So if you go up here to text symbol, you can change the size of your font. You could change, so if you go to appearance, this is where I could change my size to like 20. I could make it bold, underline, strike through, kinds of stuff. And then you just want to hit apply when you've made those changes, and you should see that your legend updates here. And then you're like, oh, its text is too big. Let me make it a bit smaller, and apply. And obviously you change the font name and stuff like that. So that's one of the big things that you probably want to change would be your font size. The second thing that I normally change is that I don't want all of these different headers, because normally all I want on my legend is maybe I just want LAI, and then I would put my units in brackets. I don't want, value. So if you go back so that you're at the main kind of page for formatting the legend, and let's see, sorry, and you go legend properties and show properties. This is where you can remove some of these kind of headers here. So you can remove the layer name. So now LEI has disappeared. I turn the layer name back on. You can remove the headings. So that takes out value. That's good. I don't want to keep that. And you can take away labels, which we don't want to do because the labels are the numbers on our color ramp. So, you know, that's how you can take away extra kind of headings on the layers that you have. Another thing that I normally do is I normally change, you know, the size of my patch. Like this color ramp is really small. And you can change that. If you have individual like category boxes, you can change the size of those. And you do that here with the sizing and the patch width and patch height. So as I change my height, it's increasing my you know, height of my rainbow bar, and then I can do a width, and it should make it wider as well once it catches up. So I almost always need to increase the size of the symbols in the legend. They always come up small. Now the thing that I haven't managed to do or to find out where it is, I'm sure it's got to be doable, is that like you don't just want the minimum and the maximum on your color ramp. You know, I'd like to have some numbers in between. I haven't quite figured out how to get it to put, you know, intervals on my color ramp here, but it's got to be in here somewhere. And in fact, when I do LAI, I actually don't do it with a color ramp. I do it with a categorical color scheme. So everything that's less than 1.4 is this yellow color, between 1.4 and 1.8 is this green. So I do it that way rather than have it on a color ramp. And if you do it just with, you know, individual kind of classes, then you'll just get individual little, you know, boxes, and then you can, you know, you can adjust those however you want as well. So these are kind of high if I want to make them like squarer, like that. And then you could hit, see, keep in a single column, and it's gonna put them out like that. So there's a lot of, you know, resizing elements within your legend that you're probably gonna want to do. You're probably gonna want to increase the font size, increase the patch, stuff like that. Right, so now I normally want to add a border to my legend. I normally want to have it with a white box behind it and a black outline to my box, because I'm often, you know, putting the legend somewhere, you know, that overlaps my map somewhere, you know. So how you do that is to make sure you go back to the front page of all the legend formatting, and it is this symbol here, which is a square. Comes up, it says display when you hover over it. It's got like a paint brush in it. If you click on that, this then enables you to put a background, a border around it, and a shadow. And I do a black border, and I put it a 0.1. I put a 0.1 X and Y gap around it, so you'll see that it's turned up here. You know, if I increase my X gap, then it just gives you more padding, you know, between your legend contents. And then I make a background of white and do the same with the padding. Never actually done a shadow. What is that? Oh, okay, I don't know why I'd want to do that, but you can do a shadow if you want to. So yeah, weirdly, when you click on the legend, it does bring up this like big box, but the actual legend part that you're going to see and that's going to print off is only the stuff that's in your little, you know, box that you've created here. So let me see, I'll put a border on it. So that's pretty much all of the things that I normally change on here. I can't remember how I did it now, but let's see, is it, you can save the style, I think. I think somewhere you can save. So if you always are going to want the same like font size and font type and stuff, then I think you could save it so that you then just import it as you know, a style that's particular for you, so you don't have to constantly change everything when you make it. I'm not sure where that is, because I have a scale bar that I've saved, so I'm thinking you can probably save some legend information. I'm just not sure where it is right now. So that's your legend. And then what I often do is if you right click on the legend, you can convert it to graphics. Now, when you do that, it basically severs the connection between the legend and anything else that you start to change with the map. So when you convert it to graphics, any changes that you now make on the map will not be reflected in the legend. So you're essentially saying, this is how I want it. You know, I don't want anything to ever change. The reason to convert it to graphics is you can then right click, you can ungroup everything, and you can move things, you can move elements around, you know. So say that I actually wanted like these elements to be here, you know, that's how you would do it. So that's how you get things to be like exactly how you want them, because sometimes you can't get it exact in the legend formatting. And then you can double click here, and this is where I would put in, you know, I would change this and I would put in my, I always have to look up how to do superscript. So if you just Google it, but I think it's something like you do like that, and then there's like a backstroke in it or something. Anyway, if you just Google how to do subscript and superscript on Arc Pro, you'll find it. So then, yeah, then I would, and then updates that. And then you can still change the sizing of your box. So you'll see that when you made it into graphics and I ungrouped everything, now all of these things appear as individual items on my layout. So I can select border and I can move that. Now, because it was ungrouped from the background, I also then, you know, have to put the background where I wanted it. So now you can just, you know, you can do anything. You could turn off particular, you know, if I didn't want this one, I could turn off particular labels and patches if you didn't want them anymore. And you can go in on anything that's a text label, and you could make changes there if it wasn't exactly how you wanted it. And with the patch, don't know if you can, so you could change the size of the individual patches if you wanted to, because they're now all separate objects. So just be aware that once you've converted it to graphics, it will no longer reflect any changes that you make. So if I take this layer away from the map, the legend remains, so it's now its own thing.
Victoria, can you convert it back?
No.
And then change? Oh, okay.
No. That's why it's like, make sure you've got like everything you want done that you can do in formatting before you change it to its own legend. And so what I had done when I'm making maps and I'm doing a map of the same area, and one map is my LAI and the next map is, I don't know, some other, is it seagrass presence absence or something. I make all of the individual legends for the different layers, and then, sorry, I just need to group this all back together again, or it's gonna, group. And then I'll like move my legend off. So it's always, so I've got it saved. I've got the LAI saved for the next time I want to, you know, print off the LAI, but say I was gonna, I don't have any other layers here now, but yeah, so say I wanted now to, I want the exact same map and extent and everything, so I don't want to make a new layout. I just want to now have my DEM be my layer, and I would make the legend for the DEM and then convert it to graphics and keep it off to the side. That way, every time you want to export the map, but you've got like the same map, just different layers, you just bring the legend that you need in for it, and you're not making it all the time. So that's how to do that. North arrow, that's really simple. North arrow, it will give you some choices if you go to the little drop down. So you could choose whatever you want. That's a new one on me. And then you just draw it wherever you want it. And then again, that is, let me just see who's at the door. That's a formattable object. You just double click on it and you can make changes. Oh, I don't know that person. I'm not opening the door. So yeah, you can make changes to your north arrow. Scale bar, same thing. You click on it. It will give you lots of choices. Imperial metric. So this is where I managed to save my own style. So it's always, I select it and draw it. So it's always going to have the same features. So if you double click on the scale, maybe you want to change your text, same thing again. But the things that I always want to change on my scale bar are, yeah, like, so you notice that it's quite thick, the bars and the lines are quite thick. And this is where you could change it. So you have your marks, so you could change the symbol or the thickness. So I can increase it to something like 8-point thickness. And you'll see that now those marks are really thick. So pretty much any object that you know, create is super changeable. You know, there's so many things you can go in and change on it. So really it's kind of, you know, go in and press all the buttons and see what changes what. But you can always change the font. You can always change the thickness of lines, stuff like that. So it's weird. I made this, and then at some point I think it was like, do you want to save that style? And I said, yes, I would like to save it. So now it's always there, and I just don't know how I actually did that. But yeah, we can figure it out if we just kind of Google the answer. So now you've got a legend made, you've got a north bar, you've got a scale bar, and you could change metric to kilometers. And if you want to make it, you know, longer, you just drag it, you know. I normally try and get it to like an even number. So it's 2 kilometers or 5 or something, instead of it finishing at like 1.8 kilometers or something. I just think it's kind of aesthetically easier for people to look at. Next thing on my list here is, right, so you'll see that there is some text at the bottom of your map. It says Esri here, Garmin, increment, blah, blah, blah. This is the credits for my underlying layer, my map layer that I've used. It has these islands on and everything. And it puts it there because you need to, obviously you need to credit what your underlying layers are, if you have underlying layers that came from Esri. But I don't want it right here on my map. It's annoying. So when you go to insert, you go up to dynamic text, and there's a drop down, and you want to go down. So you could put lots of different, like you could add a spatial reference if you wanted. You know, so you can add dynamic text, but you can also like deal with this credit layer. So if you go down to service layer credits and click on that, and then draw a box, it will remove the credits from that annoying place on your map, and it will place them in a square at a location of your choosing. What I then normally do is I move it off of my map so that it is not, it doesn't come out, you know, in my PDF of my map. If you do that, you know, just make sure in your figure legend that you actually do add the credits, you know, for the layer. So I normally say underlying layer provided by Esri, you know, ArcMap or something. But I don't want the one they put there because it's always somewhere annoying and it doesn't say what I want to say and stuff. But it's kind of nice that you can put other dynamic text in here if you want other things. That's that. Okay, so the next thing is maybe we want latitude and longitude around the edge of this so that people can kind of see where it is. And for that, let's see, click, right, so click so that my map frame is selected. And then if you go up here to grid, you're just adding, and again, I seem to have managed to have made my own version up here, but there's different, you know, ways of showing the grid. So I would just choose the black horizontal label, whatever. And it's going to add it to my map frame. Should add it, where is it? Oh, it's still thinking. There we go. Let me undo moving my map around. So now I've got a grid with latitude and longitude on it. It's got to update itself. And just like all the other things, you know, you can right click properties or you can double click like on the grid that surrounds your map. And you could change, you know, everything about this that you want to change. So what I normally change is you could turn off, so say you only want it on the top and the left side of the map, then you could turn off, you could turn it off on, let me say turn it off on south and east. It's updating. So now I've only got it, you know, on two sides of my map. If you go to ticks, right, you can change the interval that you want. So I don't really want, you know, ticks this frequently. You see ticks. Okay, so ticks 1, I think, are the small ticks, and I think ticks is the major ticks. So if I, not letting me change it, why is it not letting me change it? You should be able to go in and change the thing here, huh? Why is it not letting me do that? Automatically determine based on, I don't want it to automatically determine it. Huh, that's weird. I can normally change it.
Do you just remove it completely?
Well, I just want to change the intervals it puts the bars on. That's my map frame. Where is it? Not, let's see, grids. That's weird. maybe it's the type of grid that I added. So, I mean, I'm just going to take away that grid, remove it, and maybe try a different one here. Oh. Yeah, you should be able to go in and change the, you know, what the frequency of your tick labels are. So I don't know why it wasn't allowing me to do that. Oh, okay. Now it's letting me do it on labels. I'll do it differently. You guys are able to go into labels and make changes?
Mine are all grayed out on labels and ticks. The interval, I can't change it.
To go and go to grids and remove. Click remove your grid and let's add it again and see if that then makes a difference. So insert a grid and then do this black vertical label. Now if I go to components labels, it seems like I can change this if I want. Does it come up as an option, you guys now?
Mine's still grayed out for labels and ticks. The interval, I can't change it.
Okay, I don't know why it's not letting you change it. Yeah, it's been a bit weird. It's not letting me change it and keep it. Exactly how I want it.
When I hover over the little information eye on the side, it just says interval is automatically determined based on map scale.
Yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't let us. Okay, can you go down to grid lines? And change it to every one. All right, you know what? I'm going to take my grid off again, and I'm going to go down to a custom grid and see if that is actually the best way. Let me just see what we get. Grid labels. Weird. Okay. Why it's why it's not letting us change it, because it should do. That is weird. Okay, I'm not sure. I might have to spend some time on it if we can't figure it out. Again. Are you able to change yours, Molly, or you're grayed out too?
Yeah, mine's grayed out.
got it. If you go over to the options right below map grid, you can tell it to not automatically set the interval, and then you can change it yourself.
Oh, hold on. Can you just show us where you found that?
Yep. So just options here. I'm in components, just go to options. And this was checked by default under interval automatically adjust.
Okay.
So if you uncheck it, then now I can set my intervals for everything. Yep.
Did you find that, Molly?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, let's say I want it every 1 degree. Okay, mine is spinning. So then you should be able to, yeah, change your grid spacing, intervals, and also when you go in, you can do the same thing for ticks, and you know, interval for your labels, on everything. And normally I don't put a grid on. I just have the labels and the ticks. So I think if you didn't want a grid, you could probably just maybe set it to like no color.
You can also just remove it. There's like a little X next to it. You can just get rid of it.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah, that X underneath the plus. It just removes the layer.
Okay. So if you highlight it and then exit, you don't want it. Okay, great.
Yep, yeah, it just removes it.
Yeah, and then yeah, so it depends. So like maybe it's useful to have a grid every 1 degree of latitude or something. You know, if that's useful. Normally, I just have the ticks and stuff, and not everything else. When it chooses intervals that are really small. Right. Okay.
I'm stuck on trying to find a better way to see the tick marks. I just feel like the way it is right now, putting it in a manuscript would be really difficult to see the actual Latin lawn labels. Like I don't know if it's just maybe a bigger font or something. But
yeah. So what let me just remove this one and put in one that I have put on a map already. So I should probably reduce these numbers because still not. Yeah, so I made my font much bigger as a default. Then, and so if you want to change the font size, it should be appearance and symbol. And then you can change, you know, anything you want about it. Change the color. Let's see, ticks. Yeah, I've got too many because I was doing a much larger area, I think, when I was default for this. Yeah, so you can make it bigger, and then you're like, oh, now they're outside of my page size. So you can either make your map frame smaller, or you can, if you right click on layout and go to properties, you can change the size of your, you know, piece of paper. So I actually realized I needed it wider. Like I say, even though you have to set the size of your piece of paper when you first make it, you can go in and make it different sizes. So, yeah.
How did you get the north and the west, just the N and the W labels on them? I can't find that where to check that.
Let me see. Did you have yours set for decimal degrees, minutes, seconds? Or maybe it showed cardinal direction.
That didn't work for me. I figured out how to do it just by changing the code, but I didn't find like a checkbox. And there was like a format, and it said decimal places show direction equals false, and I just changed it to true, and that worked. So probably not the easiest way to do it, or the right way to do it, but it worked.
It's got to be like most things, if you Google it, we can probably find it. Yeah, I'm not sure. But I can try and find out, and I can let you guys know. And then the last thing, we have time. So say you want, so I have this map, which is zoomed in on the Bahamas, but maybe people don't know where the Bahamas is. And I want like a zoom, you know, a global map, and then I zoom into the Bahamas. So the way that you get two maps on one layout is that you want to make a new map. So that will make you a whole new tab up here. So you'll have map class, and then you'll have like another map. And then you just, on this map, you just zoom to where you want it to be to show people where the Bahamas is. Don't think we need hillshade on. So I would just, you know, maybe I want, I don't know, like to there, you know, because then I can like, you know, show the Bahamas here. So you just put this map to where you want to have it to zoomed in for the world. You could use a different underlying base map if you wanted to have something that looked just really plain for this one, like just the light gray. You don't want it to kind of take away from the other map or something. And then you go back to your layout, and you just want to put another map frame in. So you go map frame, Now you pick your new zoomed out map, and you see here's your original one here with the LAI, so they're both still there. So you click on this, draw a box wherever you want it, and now you'll have your zoom out map and your map of the area that you actually want people to be able to see. That's how you put two maps on one. So essentially you're making another map frame in your layout. And yeah, you just want to make sure that so I would name this one map zoom and map, in close or something, just so I could remember which one was which. But I now have two maps going. And then the last thing is to make it into a JPEG or a TIFF or PDF or whatever you want. And that's in the Share tab, which to me seems a little bit of a weird thing to call it, but it's in Share. And you want to export your layout. And you get a tab over here and you can choose, bitmap, GIF, JPEG, PDF, whatever it is that you want to output it in. The location and the name that you want to put it to, and then you can do resolution, JPEG color settings. If you have bitmap, this will change a little bit. And you export it, and then you get, a JPEG. And it's only going to export, it's going to give you a JPEG of only the stuff that's on your white border. So all this stuff you've moved off to the right and left, that won't turn up in whatever you export. So it's useful. You can keep things kind of, in this file, but off of your layout, so they don't show up. Okay, that was everything that I had in my notes to do. Is there anything that didn't put on the map that you want?
I just had a question about maybe it's better just to do it in your Word document, but just if you could somehow put 1-inch margins on the page on the layout, just so could kind of visualize how much white space you need to leave on the sides, I guess, or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I wonder, show margins, huh? There's a button here, but it seems to be grayed out for me. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not sure. So what is the guides? The ruler is the ruler top and bottom. I mean, you could just draw a box if you wanted. Pick box, I guess, if you want to make sure that you keep everything within a frame, and that you could then delete, at the end, if you don't want it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what this margins is. Must have selected a page layout for a printer. Oh, okay, because this is not letter size anymore. If I changed it back to a letter, maybe it would show me safe margins. No, it does not. Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know right now.
My only thought with asking it was just that way you can plan it to be the right size, so you're not resizing it on your document and distorting anything if you need to make it, skinnier or something because you didn't have the 1-inch margins built in on your layout.
Yeah, so if you change the shape of your map frame, it doesn't distort.
Oh, okay.
It just is looking at a smaller area.
Okay, perfect.
so the scaling will remain the same. So I think because it's not like a picture where you can draw it and you have to make sure the scaling stays, X and Y scaling stays locked or something. It doesn't have that issue because it's referencing your underlying map the whole time. If I converted it, you can't convert a map to graphics.
But once you save it as a PDF, it's not gonna, automatically adjust when you put it in your Word document or whatever. So if you have to make it a little narrower in your Word document, you might inadvertently distort it a little bit.
Yeah, you could definitely do that, yeah.
Yeah. But that's not that big of an issue. I was just curious.
Okay. So that's how to make it pretty. So then the only things left after Thanksgiving was I was going to take a look at the model building, which essentially is coding to do repeat processes without actually having to write Python. And we can also look at how to use Python to run processes too. Did we do those two things in December? Anything else?
Sounds good to me.
If you think of anything that we haven't